Hello students, welcome to Veranda IAS. From the current affairs of environment, in this section we are going to learn about management effectiveness evaluation of protected areas. The learning objectives of this particular session will be to discuss management effective evaluation of protected areas, the concept, what it is. Then we will explain the reasons for MEE being in news, that is management effective evaluation in news. Then we will list the highlight of management effectiveness evaluation of protected areas, and then we will outline the other initiatives that have been launched. So let's begin first by introducing ourselves to the management evaluation effectiveness. Now, MEE of marine protected areas is highly important document that provides valuable recommendations on different issues of wildlife and protected areas. So overall what it is a document. It is a document which provides information or recommendations on different issues of wildlife and protected areas. So whatever the issues may be, like for example, there can be any issues as to how better it has been applied to programs and how they have been implemented, what are the success of that, what are the implementations of that, how are the project conservation work going on. So all those things will be documented, and there, on the basis of the documentation, the recommendations will be provided that will act for further enhancement of the programs and all those things. The effectiveness of management had to be evaluated in order to measure the efficacy of the protected areas. Yes, we have the protected areas, we have taken the efforts, but at the same time what we have to look into how successful our efforts are. So if we are not knowing how successful the efforts are, then we cannot just know what is to be done. So there can be lacunae, there can be positives, there can be certain other things that can be done. So that is all what is discussed in this particular report. Now, MEE has become a vital tool for protected area managers, and the government and the international agencies are increasingly turning towards better understanding the strengths and shortcomings of the protected areas management system. So we have to look into, like, this report, as it gives the recommendations, and recommendations can only be given when actually you know everything about that, how better, what are the programs that have been run, how is the implementation done, what is, like, even there can be small issues like training and skills and all those things that can be incorporated. So every, like, protected area managers or the government agencies and even the international agencies are turning towards this report just to find out what are the strengths and the shortcomings. So if there is a report in other country which shows certain significant changes or significant programs that have been run, that can be implemented in our country also. So all this, like, it is like what you can say, this report helps us in better ways we can protect the environment and or the wildlife with the help of this report's recommendations. Further, the current assessment results are promising, with a mean MEE score of 62.01%, which is higher than the global average of 56%. So overall, the assessment methodology applies certain statistical ways based on various parameters and various criteria. So on those basis, it will find out a mean score, and that the mean score of India is like 62.01%, which is actually way higher than that of the global average of 56%. That signifies that India's work in protected areas is significant, and it has been going on very well. But again, it's a 62%. We will always wish that there is a much better score than what it is existing. So there is always a scope for improvement, and with that, improvements can be done by the recommendations given by this particular report. Further, now what was MEE in the news? In January 2021, the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change has released a MEE of the country's 146 national parks and wildlife sanctuaries. So the point in prelims, they do ask the question as to who releases this particular report or this particular document. So in this case, MEE is released by the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change. So it is like an official government report. Now what does this report do? It has released the MEE of country's 146 national parks and the wildlife sanctuaries. So it is a comprehensive work about all the things in the protected areas of the country. It was also stated that starting in 2021, the country's top 10 national parks, 5 coastal and marine parks, and top 5 zoos will be ranked and awarded annually. So obviously we know if there is a good work, then it should be awarded, and according to this particular programs, the government also initiated that top 10 national parks, whichever they are, like we have large many 146 national parks. So it's like creating a competitive environment, and in the competitive environment, if someone performs better, then he should be awarded. So they are doing it for the national parks, 5 coastal and marine parks, top 5 zoos. So zoos are also included in this particular program. So overall, we can say they are doing a comprehensive and a good work by evaluating the efficiency of the performance, or efficiency and the performance of these national parks and wildlife sanctuaries. So that is the plan of them. Now further, what are the highlights of MEE? Among the surveyed protected area sites, the Tirthan Wildlife Sanctuary and the Great Himalayan National Park in Himachal Pradesh did the best. So these are the two, what you can say, wildlife sanctuary and the national parks which actually performed very well on the parameters of MEE. So they can be ranked at the top. The survey, the Turtle Wildlife Sanctuary in Uttar Pradesh came the last. So this is like every other national park or the protected area. Simply, protected area will be ranked according to various parameters and all those things. And on the basis of that, on the rankings and all those things, we will be able to know where actually the good work is going on. And if the good work is happening, then they will be awarded. So that is a significant one. So remember this from the prelims point of view: uh, Tirthan Wildlife Sanctuary and the Great Himalayan National Park in Himachal Pradesh, they did well. Whereas at the last, there was Turtle Wildlife Sanctuary in the Uttar Pradesh. So this is important from the prelims viewpoint. And even in the mains examination, what generally we can do, if the question on the conservation comes, then we can give the significance of MEE, and in the MEE how certain wildlife sanctuaries or the national parks have performed well. So these will act as a case study, and they will also act as a value addition points when it comes to the examination, because that is important. In the mains, if you have to get marks above average, so then you have to put certain points which are of value addition. So here this MEE report can also be cited in the mains examination if the question comes on the conservation efforts and all. Further, what are the other initiatives launched by the government? So MEE of the marine protected areas, this is another thing. Now the Wildlife Institute of India and the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change have collaborated on new framework for MEE of marine protected areas. Now see, obviously there is a change, because from a lithosphere we are turning to the hydrosphere, and marine systems also have their different rules, regulations and different ways of operations. So it has been even applied to the marine protected areas. Then MEE of Indian zoos is also there. It is a framework that presents discrete, holistic and independent standards, criteria, indicators for evaluating the country's zoo through the MEE process. So again, these all three, like MEE for the animals and all those things, and these two MEEs can act as a very good points for the mains examination. They are brief and you can just put it. So MEE for marine protected areas, as the name goes, for the marine protected areas, and for Indian zoos. Zoos are also very important because still there are animals, and again we have to take a good care of them. We should be looking into that they are not exploited in the sense they are exploited in the terms of harming them, or whether they are getting the medical facilities or whatever required, or how are the people treating them. So all those criteria, safety and all those things will be evaluated in this particular program. Now to summarize what we have learnt, we have learned the MEE of the protected areas. Then we studied the reasons of MEE being in news, because it was released in 2021 by the government of India's Ministry of Environment and Forest. Then the highlights of the MEE, and then further we studied other initiatives that were launched under these programs. So with that, I hope you have understood whatever we have discussed about the MEE in this particular section. That's it for this session. See you in another one. Thank you.